night, what a night. Oh gosh, what a night. I feel good when you're wrapped up in my arms, dancing to a reggae song. Feel good, feel good. I feel good, cause your perfume isn't loud, and only I can talk about. Feel good, feel good.
Sakwase, beautiful people. Thank you for tuning in to WDRB Media. You're listening to Goal Diggin with Dagmar, and I'm your host, Dagmar Ntemse, your Carolina's agent. Unlock your dream home with me, award-winning realtor and author of the critically acclaimed book, The Complete Guide to Buying a Home. Get the best buying, selling, and investment advice to find your dream property. Call 704-750-0088 or visit yourcarolinasagent.com. That's yourcarolinasagent.com, unlocking the home of your dreams. Before we begin today's show, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Lightwalker Photography. Lightwalker Photography is owned and operated by Norman Walker. Norman is a creative, multi-published photographer in Charlotte, North Carolina, specializing in beauty, fashion, and maternity portraits. Book your next breathtaking photo shoot at lightwalkerphotography.com. Today we will discuss self-discipline with Coach DC of Ntense Fitness and Boxing. Coach DC is a highly skilled coach focusing on self-defense, yoga, and boxing. He has amassed a wealth of information in the fitness industry. He is committed to helping his customers become their best selves. Coach DC promotes holistic wellness by helping people establish deep connections with their minds and bodies. He is committed to fostering his clients' personal growth by helping them establish a sustainable way of life. Coach DC, I welcome you to Goal Diggin with Dagmar.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Leonardo da Vinci is quoted as saying, "You will never have a greater or lesser dominion than that over yourself." His self-mastery gauges the height of a man's success, the depth of his failure by his self-abandonment. When we return from break, we will talk about the importance of self-discipline. Welcome back to WDRB Media, the voice of the community, and those streaming live through free TuneIn Radio app and through iHeartRadio. You're listening to Goal Diggin with Dagmar, and I'm your host, Dagmar Ntemse. You can connect with me on Facebook as Dagmar Ntemse Realtor, on Instagram at Your Carolina's Agent, and on the web at yourcarolinasagent.com. If you're just tuning in, we're discussing self-discipline with Coach DC of Ntense Fitness and Boxing. Coach, have you always led a disciplined life?
No, I was a street kid. No, I was a bad boy growing up, so discipline was not, well, hold up. There were always spots of discipline. Push-ups, I started martial arts early, things like this, but it didn't really come into play until when I was about 20.
Okay. Okay. And how do you approach self-discipline?
Well, first, I talk to my clients about who is this self that you're disciplining,
Okay.
first of all. And I get people to understand that, okay, so you're an accumulation, pretty much a filter. We accumulate breath and then we exhale breath. We accumulate thoughts and then we exhale thoughts. We accumulate food, parts of it stays, and then we exhale food.
Okay.
So we're always accumulating something. So when you're trying to discipline yourself, you first got to understand the body that you're trying to discipline. And once you understand the body that you're trying to discipline, you understand why you're trying to put discipline on this body. Like 100 years ago, we wouldn't have even had this conversation. For the simple reason that we had to do a whole lot more. We were always moving, always foraging, or looking for this and here and there. We were always busy. But now we have to actually look at ourselves and say, okay, this body needs to move. It needs to stretch. It needs to mobilize. It needs to strengthen. It needs all of these things. It needs a break from thought at time.
Okay. So in gaining this knowledge of self, becoming self-aware, then you become more disciplined. So it starts in the mind first, then in the body.
Well, for me, it started in understanding what this is, this body. And I was listening to one of my teachers, and he said, it's nothing but a food body. He said, you eat food, it stays in you, and then it becomes you. And I really thought about that one for a minute. I was like, he's right. This body is actually nothing but the planet that we actually walk on. I'm like, that's very interesting. And once I understood it, I'm like, okay, so what does the planet do? The planet actually orbits, it goes around.
Okay.
Just like we have our cycles in life. They go around and around. Now, discipline is just installing a habit that's going in a certain direction in life. So it's just like, how do you install any discipline? How did you start, going up those steps? One step at a time. Mm-hmm. Start with a small thing and then work your way up. It's like I have a client right now, and our workouts are pretty much on the floor. He's got bad knees, bad shoulder, so we're doing a whole lot of stretching, a whole lot of mobilizing to get him to be able to move before we add the strength portion to it. Okay. Because you got to be able to move first before you can actually, start to grind and build on these things.
Okay. So you mentioned that you did not have a disciplined life. You just had the spurts of discipline here and there until you were about 20 years old. Can you share what happened in your life that led you towards becoming more disciplined?
Like I said, I was a wild kid. That's where I got the whole thing about boys being wolves, and they have to run. If they don't run and play and move and work out, then they're going to get in trouble. And I got in a lot of trouble, a whole lot of trouble, which is interesting that I'm still here, because at one time, I never thought that I would live to be 25.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But then, I started, the last time I got out of trouble, I started actually, kickboxing and actually doing things towards my energy disciplining myself in kickboxing. And once you start one discipline, it's easier to put it on something else. So what do you want to learn now? How do you want to put this into energy? How do you want to build on this way? So then you can just usually stack them from there.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So what type of habits can someone employ to build more self-discipline in life?
It depends on what you want to do. Most people want to begin working out. And I try to get people to understand, okay, why do you work out? So, and I go through your house. I'm like, what are you doing today? You're sitting down. Okay. So what muscles are you supposed to be employing right now sitting down? Actually, your feet should be on the floor. They should be straight. You should take your feet and rotate them into the floor so your hips turn on. With your hips on just a little bit, your core should be up and tight to keep your spine erect. And your shoulders should be right where they are over your hips. Your ears should be over your over your shoulders. Now, we don't sit like this, or we don't pay attention to how we sit. So when we don't pay attention to how we sit, we actually sit in our body and we actually dump into ourselves. Yes. And we create bad posture. And this is another habit. As soon as we do this one time, we're most likely going to do it again, which means we're going to do it again, which means we're going to continue that cycle. And that's what karma is, just us coming back on us with stuff that we've done, choices we've made. We've made the choice not to be consciously aware of our sitting. So now when we sit and we stand up, we turn into a chair, and we can't lift our knee above 90 degrees anymore, or we can't extend here anymore because we're constantly tight here.
Okay. So these small habits that you can put into effect daily, such as the way you're sitting, you can build upon that and then move on to a different part of your life. And then that's great. That's a great concept. We have to stop for a quick break.
Okay.
Welcome back. You're listening to Goal Diggin with Dagmar, and I'm your host, Dagmar Demore, your Carolina's agent, unlocking the home of your dreams. If you're just tuning in, we're discussing self-discipline with Coach DC of Ntense Fitness and Boxing. I do have a question. What is your interpretation of the difference between motivation and discipline?
I had to go look up those words, right? Well, discipline. To discipline to me is to become a disciple of something that's going to outlive you. Fitness, the things I teach today to my clients, these will outlive me 100-fold.
Okay.
So I become a disciple of fitness, or a disciple of how this body works. So my motivation, actually, my motivation for that, or the thing that inspired me to make the first step towards that, was actually my family.
Okay.
Because I watched my grandmother die of cancer. She had diabetes. I mean, I watched, my cousin has diabetes. He goes to the doctor. My uncle just had a kidney transplant. Um, I watched all these things. I'm like, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to do that. I don't think I have to do that.
Okay.
And the choices I make are in a direction of not being that.
Okay. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So the motivation is what inspires you to lead a disciplined life.
Mm-hmm. But I use everything for my motivation. Like, I'll go to the gym, and me and Xander have a conversation. Hope that was okay to say his name.
Yeah, it's fine.
Me and Xander would have a conversation, and we were like, okay, so we were watching people walk. And I said, so what's working right now? And he'll say something like, her legs. Really? Come on.
Dan is my son, and he is my son's trainer.
He'll say something like, her legs. I'm like, are you serious? Really? That's all you're going to give me? And today I said, okay, so we're going to have a little, I'm going to show you what's working. So we got on the treadmill, we put it at a high incline, and we started walking. Mm-hmm. And after 5 minutes, we got off, and I started talking to him. I said, now what muscles do you feel? What's tight? He said, well, my hamstrings. Okay, keep going. My calves. Okay, keep going. What else? I said, what's the driver of all of those muscles? And he looked at me like, my hips? Like, no, you're close, though. You're real close. He said, my butt. I said, exactly. So when you're walking and you're putting your foot down, your foot is putting down, and you're constantly extending your hip every time. And your butt is the motor, or the driver of that. And I'm like, once you understand that and you can feel it, you can understand, why sprinters have these big butts and big legs, because they're going really fast and they're pushing off the ground really, really fast. Mm-hmm. And you can understand how that works, and then you can employ it and put it in other areas, because it's pretty much the same everywhere.
Okay, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So you are, like I told everyone, you are my son's coach, and you did mention earlier that you think differently. Mm-hmm. So you have a YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us more about this YouTube channel?
Okay, my YouTube channel is about what I've observed. It's not about a belief, or it's about what I've observed and I've understood. I have to observe it about 1,000 times before I can say, yeah, that's it right there. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe what you're saying. So it's a whole bunch of what I observed through life. It's like yesterday, I'm going to use my wife. I'm not going to show her this video at all either. But anyway, she called me, and she was having a fit about something my daughter did in school. And she told me what her daughter did, and I said, okay, I understand where the response came from. And now how you handle the response, yeah, it was kids, she got mad. They don't really know how to just go low key on things. They don't know how to really, moderate themselves. So she went full blower, and I was like, yeah, that's not good. I'm gonna hear about that one. And I was like, okay, so when I went and picked up my daughter and we started talking about it, and she was telling me why, and I was like, listen, your response, I understand, because I understand why you responded that way. Somebody wanted to destroy something that was yours, or, destroy or hurt a friend of yours, something like that. So I understand your response. Now, you're in school with a bunch of kids, though, so that's not the appropriate words or language to use for that situation. Okay. And we spoke in that way, and I speak to my daughter like, I want her to learn. You got to use your different tone, a different way, a different understanding with these kids, and to really not be everyone else.
Okay.
Not be everyone else. You're not supposed to be like everyone else. You're not supposed to think like that. You're not supposed to act or react in life like that. You're actually supposed to sit down and respond out of your beingness, your liveliness. Mm-hmm.
So your business coaches the body, and your YouTube channel is for the mind and soul.
Yes.
Itself.
Yes, I would say that. The mind and soul for the YouTube channel. And I do the body on the YouTube channel also, but like I said, they all go together.
Okay.
It's like when you understand. It's like I was having this conversation on Facebook the other day, and this one always gets me in trouble. And I'm
Facebook.
like, okay, so we're
Oh, this
going.
conversation.
Yeah, and I was breaking down. I was like, okay, so we got good and bad. We got God and Satan. We got up and down. We got left and right. We got here and there. We got all those things that go back and forth. What has life told us? Life has told us any one of those in the extreme will get you in trouble. All of those in balance, you'll be okay. Anyway, because even the weather,
Yes.
good or bad, if it's a tornado, that's bad, it's extreme, it's going to get us in trouble. If it's nice sunny day, we're good. So we have all of these things, or at least we give them these descriptions. And I'm looking at all of them like, no, that's not really. You got to find the balance. And I'm like, that's why I don't look at things as, okay, this is the most horrible thing to happen. I'm like, nah, not really. There's way worse that can
There's
happen than
worse
that.
than that.
So,
And I had a show last week about balance, so
mm-hmm.
it is good perspective to have
Mm-hmm.
and to acknowledge. We do have to take a quick break. Welcome back. We are wrapping up our discussion on self-discipline with Coach DC of Ntense Fitness and Boxing. So my show is entitled Goal Diggin with Dagmar, and we talk about different topics related to being successful in life and just working through your failures. Do you believe that self-discipline is the key to success?
Ooh, that's going to get me in trouble. Self-discipline is the key to success. In this matrix that we built, yes.
Please explain. Matrix that we built.
Okay, so this is going to be a long explanation, excuse me. So I read this book every year, and the name of the book is Shibumi.
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 And what Shibumi means is pretty much it means grace,
Okay.
being graceful in all things. And you have to read the book, it's very interesting. But it's set in the time, and after the bombs were dropped in Japan, and he's half Japanese and German and Russian. And in this, you get the Asian thoughts on the Europeans coming in after the war and all that. And I remember in one part of the book, and this is I always remember this part. He's sitting there and he's looking at the British, the Germans, and I think it's the Asians at a stoplight, and everybody's arguing with each other, but nobody speaks each other's language. So he goes and talks to each other and breaks it up and gets everybody clear. And then he starts working for the Americans. Well, within that time, he has like a flashback, and he looks at the Americans and the Europeans, and everybody looks at them the same way. They're capitalists. They're consumers. That's what they do. They just they come in and they consume. They turn everything into money, and I don't know. I'm not gonna say that word. They turn everything into money, and they make it not even a tenth of what it was.
Okay.
And some of the things that religion. As soon as you add money to religion, you strip it of its value completely. I'm not gonna say that word neither. Anyway, and yoga. As soon as it was brought over here and it was taught all of these moves, they went into the moves. It didn't, and nobody touched the mind part, the body part, the really understanding yourself part. And that's what the capitalist system does. That's what the market does. That is the matrix that we live in, and that's the matrix we have to abide by to have success.
Okay.
So that's what I mean by the matrix.
So self-discipline is the key to success within this matrix that we've created. So outside of this matrix that we've created, is this self-discipline necessary?
Self-discipline. Outside of, yes. Well, that's the thing. And this is what happens in the matrix. In the matrix, you become a product. And most of us, and a lot of people, begin to speak to each other like products. The reason why nobody has relationships anymore, and all these other issues that we have right now. Mostly because everybody speaks to each other like a product, not a person.
Okay.
And I always wanted to be a person. and I wanted to understand it. And I remember growing up and watching all of these ninja movies. And I remember in the ninja movies, there was one big thing that I remember in all the movies and books that I read. It took them 30, 40 years to master their craft.
Yes.
They didn't get a certificate in over the weekend. They didn't get a 10-hour certificate. No, it took them years to master how to walk silently, how to move silently, how to stop breathing for minutes at a time. It took them a lifetime to learn these things. And so that's what I did with fitness. I wanted to explore, okay, so how do we walk? Why do we walk this way? How do we move? I mean, basically what you're doing when you go to a gym is you're supposed to be mimicking the normal moves you do every day. You sit, you get up, you squat, you lift things over your head, you pick up laundry baskets, you get out of your car, you go to the grocery store, and all of these things, those are the movements that we should be mimicking in the gym. That's what the squats was supposed to be for, and all these other things.
Okay.
Are these things that we're doing every single day. Here's the problem. When we come home from the gym, let's like when you come home from a yoga class, poof. Or you come home from church, poof, all that goes out the window. So you get there in the yoga class and you're breathing and you're moving smoothly and you're worried about how your stance is and all of this. It's just not supposed to be for that class.
Okay.
You're supposed to be able to walk out and have the same awareness of where I am, how I'm moving, how I'm feeling, et cetera, et cetera. What do I need to stretch at here and there?
Yes.
It's just not supposed to be for that hour. But like I said, in the capitalist matrix, we've made everything, just have an hour here, have an hour here, have an hour here, and we've made everybody schizophrenic. And I'm still trying to figure out if the weather became schizophrenic first or if it was us. But they kind of went together. Just all over the place. What was it, 2 weeks ago? It was 14 here?
It's interesting. Inside the matrix we created.
Mm-hmm.
That is very interesting. Thank you so much. Please tell everyone to get to hear more of your thoughts, and I'm definitely going to check the channel out and we'll have other discussions.
Mm-hmm.
Please let them know what the YouTube channel is.
The YouTube channel is Coach Hotep. And let me explain the Hotep word. The Hotep word is like the Sadhguru word. It means one who knows themselves. It means a person who, I'll break it down for you. I breathe 6 times a minute.
Okay.
The average is 12 to 18. When I slow down in meditation, I breathe 3 times a minute. Now, the reason why I started paying attention to that is because dogs breathe 20 to 30 times, 20 to 40 times a minute. They only live 15 years. Turtles breathe 3 times a minute. They live to be 150 sometimes.
Wow.
And so I started paying attention to my respiration rate. And when you start to pay attention to your respiration rate, I'm meditative, but I don't teach meditation. And the reason why I don't teach it is because people are looking for lights and flashes and all of these spiritual things. And that's not what it's about. It's like, I was having a conversation with this woman one day and she said, my son is meditating. And I was like, really? It's like, let me ask you a question. Can you hear your heartbeat? And she was like, yeah, sometimes I can hear my heartbeat. And I was looking there and I was talking to her for a minute. And while I was talking to her, I was listening to my heartbeat in my wrist. And I was like, no. When you really, really know yourself, then it changes the world for you. You speak differently. Your language is differently. You act differently.
I agree. So that led you.
So that's what the word
Hotep.
Hotep, Sadhguru, means, is one who knows themselves. I don't know what other people use it for, but that's what I use it for. And I'm Coach Hotep there and on Twitter. And I'm Coach DC on Instagram and Ntense Fit on Instagram.
Ntense Fit.
Yes,
Ntense.
NTN.
And what services do you provide through Intense Fit?
Oh, I'm having fun. I'm having fun with a lot of kids right now. Um, because they're just like, Xander, they're starting to learn their bodies and starting to really understand. And I start from like the floor, like how you walk, how you connect to the floor. Um, I was talking to, what was it? One of my kids earlier. No, it was an older adult. And I was asking her, she said, well, I hurt my back. I said, so did you connect to the floor? She said, what do you mean? I said, how many times have I taught you this? She said, oh, a lot. I said, oh, okay, so that means you ain't been paying attention. So I told her again, and she was like, oh. I was like, yeah, when you connect to the floor, guess what? You can't hurt yourself because you create stability from your ankles to your knees through your hips, and then your core turns on automatically. But when you don't, guess what's going to happen? You all loosey-goosey. And that's when you get hurt, when you're all loosey-goosey.
So you're working with teens. Yeah, my son has, I think this is his second month with you, I believe. And I do see the difference, and he is excited about the things that he's learning around fitness. So I do appreciate your services. I appreciate your coming to the show and having this discussion. Self-discipline allows you to stay focused on your goals. It enables you to stay in control of yourself and of your reaction to any situation. Self-discipline is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger you become. I leave you with these words from Jim Rohn to start your week. We must all suffer one of two things: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret and disappointment. I'm grateful to everyone that tuned in, both locally and beyond. Don't hesitate to contact me if you need help finding a realtor in your listening area. Get the best buying, selling, and real estate investment advice by visiting yourcarolinasagent.com. Continue to tune in every Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Please remember to connect with me by going to goaldigginradio.com. Follow me on the socials at Goal Diggin Radio, including YouTube. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to be a guest on the show or want to learn more about advertising and sponsorship opportunities, email media@goaldigginradio.com. Shout outs to Visual Vibes Media for producing the audio and video for the show. You've been listening to Goal Diggin with Dagmar, and I'm your host, Dagmar Demore, your Carolina's agent, unlocking the home of your dreams on WDRB Media, the voice of the community, for double the information and inspiration.
Oh, what a night.
Until we speak.
What a night, what a night. Oh gosh, what a night. I feel good when you're wrapped up in my arms, dancing to a reggae song. Feel good, feel good. I feel good, 'cause your perfume isn't loud, and only I can talk about. Feel good, feel good.